Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, if you've been diving into Marvel Rivals lately, you know the game's packed with some of the biggest names in the superhero world. But here's the deal, while all of them are cool, there are definitely a few heroes who stand out from the crowd. These top tier characters are absolute beasts in their roles, whether you're looking for raw damage, support, or strategic control. They're the ones you want on your team if you want to dominate the battlefield and have some serious fun. Now don't get me wrong, just because some heroes are in the lower tiers doesn't mean they're useless. With the right player behind them, even those lower ranked characters can pack a punch. It's all about playing to their strengths and knowing when and where to use them. So whether you're rocking an S tier powerhouse or a humble C tier underdog, there's always potential to crush it in Marvel Rivals if you play smart. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking heroes in Marvel Rivals. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The heroes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hulk, Black Panther, Penny Parker, Namor, and Cloak and Dagger. Alright, so we're diving into the C tier heroes in Marvel Rivals. Now I know the C tier is often where characters get a bit of a bad rap, and these ones are no exception. They're not terrible, but they definitely don't shine as brightly as some of the top tier heroes. Let's start with Hulk, who's got 3 forms to choose from. His hero Hulk form might look super intimidating, but here's the thing, his massive hitbox makes him an easy target. On top of that, despite looking all big and strong, his damage output doesn't quite match up to the hype. So yeah, not exactly the powerhouse you might be hoping for. Then we've got Black Panther. Now Black Panther is one of those characters that you really need to master to get the most out of him. His kit isn't bad, but it's not as straightforward as you might think. The problem is that if you're not playing him perfectly, he can feel a bit underwhelming compared to some of the other heroes. It's like he's got potential, but that potential isn't always easy to unlock. If you're up for the challenge though, maybe you'll find a way to make him work. Next up is Penny Parker. Now Penny's abilities are a bit tricky. Her damage potential really depends on how susceptible your opponent is to her traps. She's more of a situational hero, which can be frustrating in a game that's all about consistency. If your opponent knows what they're doing, Penny's traps might not even land, leaving her pretty weak in a fight. You've really got to play around your enemy's weaknesses, but in a game where every second counts, that's a lot to gamble on. Namor is another hero who, unfortunately, doesn't quite make the cut. His main selling point is his turrets. But here's the thing, those turrets aren't exactly strong. They can be destroyed with ease, and pairing him with Lunar Snow doesn't do much to buff them up. So if you're relying on them more for turret-based strategies, you might want to reconsider because the turrets just don't pack the punch you need. And finally, Cloak and Dagger. They've got a kit that's similar to Mantis but with more flexibility. Now, you think more options would be better, but honestly, more isn't always more when it comes to healing. If you're looking for a pure healer, just stick with Mantis. Cloak and Dagger's flexibility doesn't quite make up for their lack of focus. They can do a bit of everything, but they don't do anything as well as they should. If you're aiming for a reliable support, Mantis is your girl, so there you have it. These are the heroes that don't quite hit the mark in Marvel Rivals. They've got potential, but they need a lot of work to truly stand out. If you're just starting out or looking for something more reliable, you might want to steer clear of these C tier options. The heroes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, the Punisher, Magic, Storm, Iron Man, Rocket Raccoon, Mantis, Scarlet Witch, and Wolverine. Alright, let's talk about some of the B tier characters in Marvel Rivals. Now, these heroes are solid choices, but the thing is, there are usually better picks out there for their roles. They're not bad, not by any means, but you might find yourself wishing for a bit more when compared to the A tier and S tier characters. Let's dive into it, shall we? First up, we've got the Punisher. Frank Castle is a beast when it comes to dealing damage, especially with his turrets and ultimate ability that can really help push those objectives. But here's the thing, while he's a good DPS pick, there are just better alternatives out there. He'll do the job, but you might find that someone like Spider-Man or Black Panther can get the job done more efficiently. Next, Magic. Now, Magic's a tough one. She's got that melee DPS style going on, but she's also kind of squishy, which makes her a bit of a glass cannon. She can shine in the right hands, especially with some strong healers and tanks in the team, but if you're not careful, she can be taken out quickly. She's one of those characters where you'll really need to master her to see her full potential. Then there's Storm. She's got that dual role going on, where she can be a DPS and a strategist. The problem? Well, she's a jack of all trades, but not really a master of any. If her kit was a little more focused, she could definitely stand out more. But as it is, she's kind of stuck in that awkward middle ground. She's not bad, but she's not exactly great either. Iron Man, oh boy, Iron Man has aerial mobility and some solid ranged abilities, but honestly, his kit could use a bit of love. At the moment, he's not quite living up to the hype you'd expect from the armored Avenger. He can hold his own, but in terms of raw damage and utility, he's kind of outclassed by some of the other heroes. Now, let's talk about Rocket Raccoon. He's a fun character and can be a decent support pick, but here's the kicker, there are just other heroes who do it better. Adam Warlock, Luna Snow and Groot are all stronger support options that can bring more to the table. Rocket's cool, but he's more of a niche pick these days. Mantis is next, and she's another one that shines with a well-coordinated team. She's an absolute healer powerhouse if your teammates know how to work with her, but in solo play or random teams, she's a bit hit or miss. If you're in a squad that can capitalize on her healing though, she can absolutely be a game changer. As for Scarlet Witch, her kit is interesting, don't get me wrong, but the damage output just isn't where it needs to be. With so many great healers dominating the meta, she's kind of left in the dust. She definitely could use a buff in a future patch to make her more competitive, but right now, she's struggling to keep up with the big hitters. Last but not least, we have Wolverine. He's a powerhouse in 1v1 fights, no doubt about it. He can wreck almost anyone who crosses his path. The downside, he's not so great in team fights, where he tends to get outclassed by other heroes. If you've got the skills to carry him in a one-on-one, he could be an S tier character, but right now, he's stuck in B tier. So yeah, these B tier heroes can definitely hold their own, but if you're looking to push to the next level, you might want to look elsewhere. They're fun to play, but if you're aiming for efficiency, there are other characters that just outperform them in most situations. The heroes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Magneto, Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, Psylocke, Groot, Star-Lord, Loki, and Hela. Alright, let's talk about some of the best picks in Marvel Rivals that might not immediately scream S tier, but once you get the hang of them, they'll surprise you. These characters are solid choices and can easily make the jump to S tier in the right hands. So, if you're ready to put in the work and improve your skills, these heroes could become your new favorites. Let's start with Magneto. Now I know what you're thinking, his speed is a bit on the slow side, but if you're patient and can master his moves, Magneto can be a beast. He's one of those characters that requires time to learn, but once you get the rhythm, he could easily be your go-to Vanguard main. Managing his pace is key, but the payoff is totally worth it when you're able to control the battlefield with those magnetic abilities. Then we have Iron Fist, a hero that can be pure fire if you know how to use him right. I'll be honest, my experiences with him were rough at first, mostly because my teammates didn't quite understand how to leverage his diving abilities for maximum damage. But trust me, when you've got a solid team and you're in sync, Iron Fist's damage potential is huge. So, if you've got the know-how, Iron Fist could easily rise to S tier. Spider-Man, oh boy, who doesn't love the web slinger? He has some of the best mobility in the game, and he packs a punch too. The downside? His skill cap is a bit higher than most heroes. You really have to get comfortable with his movement and combos to bring out the best in him. But once you do, he's a force to be reckoned with, especially when you can zip around the map, dodge attacks, and get in those killer hits. Moving on to Moon Knight, he's a lot of fun, and his Crescent Dart and Moonblade attacks deal crazy damage. The thing is, his ultimate is a bit underwhelming compared to the rest of his kit. He's one of the easier characters to learn, so for newcomers or players looking for a fun hero, Moon Knight is a solid pick. Just don't expect that ultimate to win the game for you. It's all about those basic abilities. Now, let's talk Doctor Strange. If you're playing with a coordinated team that knows what they're doing, Doctor Strange can be a game changer. His teleportation abilities are insane, and they can turn the tide of battle. But here's the catch. If you're playing with randoms, you might not get the most out of him. Communication is key, so make sure your squad knows how to play around him for those awesome teleportation combos. Hawkeye is another character that's a bit tricky to master. Sure, he can dish out a lot of damage, but his focus mechanic requires some serious finesse. If you don't nail it, you might miss out on some massive damage opportunities. But when you do get it right, you're basically able to one-shot squishy enemies from a distance. If you've got the time to learn his kit, Hawkeye can be one of the deadliest marksmen in the game. Next up, we've got Psylocke. What makes her so special? Her stealth-based abilities. She's super sneaky, and it's tough for enemies to counter her if they don't see her coming. Psylocke is all about staying in the shadows and picking off enemies when they least expect it. If you love playing a more tactical hit and run style, Psylocke might just be your perfect match. Lastly, let's talk about Groot. This guy is all about tanking for his team. His ability to block damage can be a lifesaver, especially if you've got a lot of squishy characters on your team. But his real strength lies in team composition. If you've got a well-rounded squad that needs a sturdy frontline, Groot is a great pick to keep your team safe while they dish out damage from behind him. So there you have it, some of the best A-tier characters in Marvel Rivals. They might not be the flashiest, but they're totally worth mastering. Once you get the hang of their abilities and find the right team composition, these heroes could carry you to victory. The heroes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Venom, Luna Snow, Winter Soldier, Captain America, Adam Warlock, Squirrel Girl, and Jeff. Alright, let's talk about some absolute beasts in Marvel Rivals. If you want to dominate the battlefield, there are a few characters that totally crush it, and I'm not just talking about good, I'm talking about overpowered. So, let's dive into the S tier heroes that will make you feel like you've got the entire Marvel universe on your side. First up, we've got Venom. Now, this guy is a tank but with a twist. Unlike your standard big bruiser, Venom's got some insane mobility. His swing ability, it's like Spider-Man but with way more muscle. You can zip across the map, taking out enemies while barely breaking a sweat. His crowd control abilities are fantastic, and let's not forget his ultimate, a full-on nuke. If you've got a bunch of low health enemies grouped up, Venom's ultimate will have you feeling like you're wiping the floor with them in no time. Next, if you're a fan of support characters, Luna Snow is a must-have. She's one of the best healers in the game, but here's the thing, you've got to know how to aim. If you do, Luna becomes an absolute monster. She can heal your teammates while dealing solid damage to enemies with her primary, and if you're in a tough spot, her ultimate can swing the fight back in your favor. She's perfect for those who can balance both offense and defense. But if you're looking for an all-rounder, Winter Soldier is your guy. He's got a little bit of everything: damage, mobility, and survivability. He can dish out the hurt, but also handle his own when it comes to defending or staying alive in tough situations. No matter what the game throws at you, Winter Soldier's versatility makes him a solid pick for nearly any situation. If you're the kind of player who likes to have options, Winter Soldier is definitely worth considering. Captain America might not be the tankiest in the game, but his mobility is a game changer. He's got some of the best hybrid abilities in Marvel Rivals, letting you jump between roles with ease. Whether you need him to tank, deal damage, or even support, Cap's got the tools to adapt on the fly. That shield throw? Classic, and it works wonders when you need to control space. If you're strategic with how you use him, Cap can be a game changer. Then there's Adam Warlock, whose abilities might take a little time to master, but once you do, he's an absolute powerhouse. His basic abilities are solid, but it's his ultimate karmic revival that truly shines. Imagine being down to your last leg, and then, boom! Adam Warlock brings your entire team back to life. It's like having a second chance to win, and trust me, when that happens, the enemy won't see it coming. Lastly, let's talk about Jeff. Now, I know, he's cute, but don't let that fool you. Jeff's not just here for his adorable looks. His abilities are seriously strong, especially when it comes to team fights. On open maps, he can really shine, especially with his ability to save teammates and even swallow opponents. You can dive off the map with enemies in tow, which is an incredible move when you're trying to turn the tide of battle. Jeff's potential has pushed him from A tier to S tier, and it's not hard to see why once you play with him. So, there you have it. The S tier heroes in Marvel Rivals. These guys will have you feeling like the true hero of the battlefield. Whether you're tanking, healing, or dishing out damage, these characters bring their A game every time. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.